was when he was talking about racial sensitivity training. And it was an exchange that they had. It was probably about I think it was in the third segment of it, the third segment around, I can't remember the name of the segment, but it was around race and violence in communities is how it was titled. But in that segment, Donald Trump was basically asked why is he pushing back against racial sensitivity training in the federal government and in some school systems, and his answer spoke to basically what your mom was sort of talking about, this idea that, and he almost went there, and I really wanted Chris Wallace to just be quiet for a second, because I really wanted the audience to watch Donald Trump go there, because he got very close when he said, well, what they're asking us to do is they're asking us, the word he used, and it stuck with me. They're asking us to reverse how people are being seen. And I said,
reverse
yeah,
racism.
Buddy, now you're getting to it, right? Because you want, in the ideal, the fact that you use the word reverse means you are acknowledging that there's one group of people that are above, and there's another group of people that are below, and you don't want it to be that way.
That's right. The fear of a black planet. Go ahead.
And he basically went on to say how racial sensitivity training is a radical revolution that makes people want to feel negative about America. It wants people to feel negative about our history. And I said, and then a couple moments later after that, then he told the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by.
And stand by.
And so there were so many dog whistles. I wouldn't even call them dog whistles at this point. I just say they're straight bullhorns.
Yeah.
Speaking to his base, that I do believe, to some extent, there is some truth to what your mom and to what my brother was saying, that for those folks who are undecided, and there are very few of them, right, who are saying, who should I vote for in this election? Donald Trump appealing to this sort of racialized America and this strong man argument would work for them. Now, with that being said, right, there's another group of Americans out there. There's another group of Americans who are struggling. They're struggling to make ends meet. 29 million Americans are currently unemployed and receiving some form of government assistance, whether it be on an unemployment check, whether it be paycheck protection, whether it be they're receiving some sort of bailout so they're not furloughed. And for those workers and for those individuals, I definitely think Biden spoke to them directly. One of Biden's most effective tools in the debate last night was really talking to the American people. It was the only time in the 90-minute debate where I felt like somebody was actually concerned about what was happening at people's kitchen table and what was happening at home. Now, the question becomes, will that resonate with voters as they try to make their decisions? Will that resonate with folks as those folks that are undecided? And that's what we don't know. I'll say this, right? And if I were to summarize this whole debate, I would say this. The debate sort of left everything the way that it was previous. I don't think if you were a Biden supporter before, I think you are a stronger Biden supporter today. If you were a Trump supporter before, I feel you're a stronger Trump supporter today. If you were somebody who was, I lean Biden, you are now strongly in the Biden camp. If you're somebody who said, I lean Trump, you're strongly in the Trump camp. And if all those things hold true, then it does, if you're basing this on the polls, and you do that at your own peril, then you would say that it gives Biden the leg up as we move forward in this debate, because we know, in this election, right, because we know that Donald Trump is down in all the major polls. But this is where we were in 2016. Donald Trump was also down in all the polls.
But I want to say this, Richard, when you say it left us the same place we were before, I got to push back on you. I disagree with that. I think we're worse off. I think it's another dent in our democracy. I think it's another dent in communities that are extremely vulnerable. I think it's another dent in this propaganda machine. This propaganda machine is so, I'm not a dent, it's another addition to the propaganda machine, right? And I think that I don't think that it was, I think that it was very effective. I really think it was effective. In a way, I mean, it was a shit show. It was a circus. People love the circus. People love it. I mean, I heard people talking about how high the ratings are going to be, how many folks are going to be watching. I think that Joe Biden, I think he did a great job, but what I think doesn't matter.
What I found to be the most disturbing wasn't even his sort of conversation about the Proud Boys. Towards the end of the debate, where they were talking about voting, and he basically said to it came off, if you were watching it and you weren't taking it seriously, as sort of funny, but there was really nothing funny about it. Towards the end of the debate, when they were talking about Philly in particular, and he said, well, you're not sure what happens in Philly. That's why
There's bad things that happen in Philadelphia.
and my people need to go out and they need to watch. And
Watch.
they need to be. And this, to me, this is code word for the same thing that we saw take place in Kenosha, where armed militias of white men with long guns and AR-15s show up in urban areas or in suburban areas at the polling place, and they intimidate voters. The fact that this president has talked down our democracy, his tone and his tenor should disqualify him alone for this position. Every American voter should wake up this morning and say, man, our democracy is in peril. This man's tone and his tenor disqualifies him to be president of the United States. No matter what you said about George W. Bush, no matter what you thought about Ronald Reagan, no matter what you thought about Gerald Ford, no matter what you thought about any of these men, and if you're a conservative and you're listening to this program, no matter what you thought about Barack Obama, no matter what you thought about Bill Clinton, no matter what you thought about Jimmy Carter, all of them understood the power of the presidential debate. All of them understood that 80 to 90 million Americans sit and people across the world tune in to watch this debate. And it is the job of the President of the United States, whether he's in a debate or whether he's in his long job in his bed, to represent the United States of America and our democracy and that democracy and the decorum of that democracy. And on all those notes, on all those measures, Donald Trump failed miserably.
You know, I have to say, thank you for bringing up that end part when he talked about, poll watchers. As a student of history, as someone who's degreed in Black Studies, the first thing I thought about were massacres during Reconstruction when black folks were trying to vote. And it was militias being formed, one being the Colfax Massacre in 1873 in Louisiana, where 150 black men were killed by white Southerners because those black men were trying to vote. This is a poll watchers. That is a remixed version of militias going to polls and terrorizing people trying to exercise their right to vote. And that's what it reminded me of. And that really, for me, allegedly, reportedly, whatever you want to call it, it felt like some kind of home terrorism. That's what it felt like. Because I don't know, poll watchers, what does that mean? You have a kid crossing state lines going from Illinois to Wisconsin that shot two protesters, and he claimed he was protecting his people. He was protecting people, protecting property. And now a Christian group has raised over $500,000 for that 17-year-old. $500,000. So you're telling people to go to the polls and watch. Watch for what? Are they going to go into the voting booth of somebody and make sure? What does that mean? That is, I'm telling you, the rest of 2020, I am deeply concerned. And for every person who thinks the president doesn't affect you directly, that is a damn lie. When you have a president like this in office, it does affect you directly. Who was upset?
Exactly.
And wait, one more thing, Richard. When he was bragging about his judicial appointees, I hope every single black voter was listening. He said, "Oh, look at how great I did. I've appointed over almost 300 judges to a lifetime bench. Barack Obama left too many over. But he's ramming these judges through. He's appointed more judges than any other president in their first term. Any other president. But I hope every black voter heard that, because his judicial legacy is horrific. and it can affect you directly. And if you think you're going to form a third party in the next 30 days, and if you think that Biden and Trump are both fascists, whatever you might think, this will directly affect your life, because a judge interprets the law, not you. A judge interprets the law. When what right now with Breonna Taylor, that's Daniel Cameron as an attorney general interpreting the law and having a judge by his side. So I'm telling you, I hope every black voter heard that he's bragging about appointing majority 90% white, young, male conservative judges. That directly affects us. Take another comment, Richard. I'll go to a break.
I think that's absolutely right, Clay. And I think it's really, and I was going to say, for all those folks who are like, we need to hold the black vote hostage and we need to demand all, and listen, I agree. I agree, and not in the holding the vote hostage. I agree that we should have demands and we should push the candidate to move on the issues that we care about. Well, with that being said, this is a 5-alarm fire, and the community that's going to be hurt the worst is black folks, brown folks, and poor folks if Donald Trump wins a second term. After watching this debate last night, if you are an African-American voter and you're still on this ice cube tip of we're going to hold the vote hostage until we get our agenda, you have lost it. Because not only will you cause Donald Trump to win again, but you have to ask yourself the question, who do I want to be negotiating with for my freedom? Who do I want to be negotiating with for police reform? Who do I want to be negotiating with for high-quality public education? Do I want to be negotiating with Donald Trump, somebody who doesn't believe in racial sensitivity training, somebody who supports the Proud Boys, somebody who believes that there needs to be poll watchers at black polls? Or do I want to negotiate with somebody who understands that COVID-19 has impacted black communities more than white communities, right? Or do I want to be negotiating with somebody who understands that we do have systemic racism in America? Donald Trump last night could not even admit that we have systemic racism in the United States of America. So ask yourself the question. I'm not saying that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are perfect. I'm not saying that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to be, some silver bullet or some golden bullet to solve all the problems in the black community. I'm not saying that 4 years from now, the lives of black people are going to be fundamentally different and fundamentally better because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is elected. I'm saying that we, right now where we sit today, our lives get fundamentally worse if we elect Donald Trump for 4 more years. He has refused to acknowledge the fact that there are 200,000 dead Americans. He's refused to acknowledge the fact that there's 7 million Americans who contracted COVID-19, and we lose between 800 and 1,000 Americans every day because of it. He's refused to acknowledge the fact that there are 29 million unemployed Americans, and he's doing nothing to help them. And instead of working in Washington to get a stimulus package passed so that we can actually provide assistance to small businesses, to airlines, to homeowners, to the list goes on, he is insisting on pushing forward a Supreme Court just because they care more about controlling the reins of power than they do about the American people. And that was evident last night. Even if you thought that Joe Biden did terrible, ask yourself this one question. Who talked directly to you? Who talked about your issues? Who had a conversation with you and who had a conversation with themselves and refused to talk to you about the issues? And the answer to that question is simple. Joe Biden spent a good chunk of that debate talking to the American people directly. When asked to talk to the American people, Donald Trump refused.
He refused. He didn't look in the camera once.